US diplomatic efforts to revive stalled negotiations with Iran are continuing, with Washington sending senior envoy Steve Witkoff to Switzerland for a new round of high-level talks focused on Iran's nuclear program and sanctions relief. Well, according to a US official, the discussions are expected to resume in Switzerland, where mediators from several countries, including Qatar and other regional partners, are also set to play a significant supporting role in facilitating dialogue between the two sides. US President Donald Trump's son-in-law and advisor Jared Kushner is also expected to participate in the talks, underlining the high-level political involvement in this renewed diplomatic push. The negotiations are taking place under a strict 60-day framework within which both Washington and Tehran are expected to work towards a possible final agreement. The talks were originally scheduled to begin earlier but were postponed due to escalating violence in the Middle East, particularly rising tensions between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon, which disrupted diplomatic momentum and complicated the entire preparations. On the ground, the regional situation remains highly volatile as Israel and Hezbollah have agreed to renew a ceasefire after intense fighting threatened to derail ongoing diplomatic efforts between Washington and Tehran. However, despite the announcement of a truce, both the sides have issued warnings over possible violations and tensions remain fragile. Lebanese authorities reported that Friday marked one of the deadliest days of Israel's strikes since the current phase of the conflict began, highlighting the instability surrounding the ceasefire agreement. And against this backdrop, preparations for the Switzerland talks are moving forward. Reports also indicate that Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi is also expected to travel to Switzerland, although his participation has not yet been formally confirmed and could still change depending on developments on the ground. Iranian officials have reportedly stressed that the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah must be fully implemented before advancing further in nuclear negotiations, viewing it as a key condition for trust and stability in the process. The United States, meanwhile, is continuing with its delegation despite uncertainty. Witkoff's visit signals Washington's intention to restart technical-level discussions that had previously been delayed. The talks are expected to focus on core issues including Iran's nuclear enrichment program, sanctions relief and verification mechanisms in order to ensure compliance with any potential agreement. Previous rounds held in Oman and Geneva laid some groundwork, but significant differences between both the sides remain unresolved. High-level involvement from U.S. leadership has further highlighted the significance of these talks, and alongside Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner is also expected to take part in discussions, while Vice President J.D. Vance has indicated readiness to join at the earliest opportunity, according to the White House. And this reflects Washington's effort to maintain strong diplomatic momentum within a limited negotiating window. Qatar has emerged as a key mediator in the process, with Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani already present in Switzerland ahead of the talks. His presence reflects continued regional efforts in order to bridge communication gaps between Washington and Tehran and prevent further escalation in an already tense Middle East environment. Meanwhile, political dynamics remain complex as US President Donald Trump has publicly expressed support for Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, even as strains have appeared in relations over Israel's military operations in Lebanon and concerns about their impact on the ongoing Iran negotiations. And within the US administration, officials have also cautioned regional actors against actions that could derail the fragile diplomatic process. Earlier, the planned talks were delayed when violence between Israel and Hezbollah escalated sharply, forcing a postponement of the initial meeting schedule. And despite this setback, both the sides are now attempting to revive the diplomatic track within the strict 60-day framework, which is seen as crucial for reaching any meaningful agreement. Well, on the Iranian side, officials have reportedly told mediators that implementation of the ceasefire in Lebanon is a key precondition for serious engagement in Switzerland, and Tehran is insisting that the situation on the ground stabilize before moving forward with technical negotiations linking regional developments directly to the success of the nuclear discussions. And at the same time, continued clashes and instability in Lebanon have raised concerns that renewed fighting could once again derail the diplomatic progress. International observers have warned that any breakdown of the ceasefire could directly impact US-Iran negotiations and widen the regional crisis further. Well, overall, the Switzerland talks are expected to bring together multiple stakeholders working through mediators and with discussions covering not only Iran's nuclear program but also broader regional security and sanctions-related issues. Analysts say that the outcome of these negotiations could have far-reaching implications for Middle East stability, global oil markets, and the international economic conditions. And for now, both the Washington and Tehran appear committed to keeping diplomatic channels open despite deep mistrust and ongoing regional tensions. However, with uncertainty on the ground and fragile ceasefire conditions, the success of the upcoming Switzerland negotiations remains uncertain as all the parties prepare for a critical round of discussions. That's all for now. Stay tuned to the Savera for more updates. Do like,